Welcome to Inland Edition, where this season we're having conversations with people who represent nonprofit organizations working to make the Inland Empire a better place. My name is Joe Richardson. I'm a local attorney, Inland Empire resident, and your host. And today we're going to chat with Aaron Welch, the Director of Development for Junior Achievement of Southern California, Orange County. Junior Achievement is the world's largest organization dedicated to educating students in grades K through 12 about financial literacy, work readiness, and entrepreneurship. It seeks to energize students around academics and their future possibilities by helping them envision a brighter future and enhancing the skills needed to succeed in the modern world. Aaron has a wealth of experience in education with a strong focus on improving student outcomes. Her background in education technology and liberal arts and sciences has consistently helped her increase board involvement and achieve fundraising targets. Let's meet her and learn more about how junior achievement is impacting our youth. From Junior Achievement of Orange County and the Inland Empire, I'm proud to welcome our Director of Development, Aaron Welch. Thank you so much for being here on Inland Edition.
Well, thank you for hosting me. I'm excited to be here.
So let's build the house a little bit. Talk about your background. Was there kind of an aha moment that gets you into nonprofit in general and this nonprofit in particular, or was it a series of moments?
It was a series of moments. So I started off in 4-H, and
Right.
just rose to the leadership. I was a state Diamond Star, which is the top ranks in California. It wasn't something I never thought about. I didn't even realize nonprofit was an opportunity
You
as
know
a
it's a
job.
thing. Right.
Yeah, I wanted to be a teacher, wanted to be a veterinarian, wanted to be everything else.
Right, sure.
And then just opportunities kept opening.
Right.
And I got invited to be part of the Arthritis Foundation and
Okay.
later National MS Society all the way in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
And then went back to teaching.
Right, sure.
And I said if I was to ever leave teaching,
Right.
it would be because I wanted to advocate for something that was missing and broken in education.
Sure, sure.
And so that I had the opportunity to work for Junior Achievement, fell in love with it,
Right,
knowing financial literacy is not a part of our curriculum.
right,
And just had the opportunity and jumped ship, and now working full-time back at nonprofit, but also advocating for the gaps in education.
right. Now, this is huge because you were a teacher. You taught seventh grade for 5 years. You said off camera that you were the only seventh grade teacher at your school,
Yes,
and you taught all of the subjects.
yes.
So you're totally getting cross-trained in the whole thing. Tell us more about how your education background really informs the work that you do now.
So now I can speak on behalf because our curriculum is aligned with state and national standards.
Right.
And people are like, what's that? We don't have a standard for financial literacy in California.
Right.
Well, I know that the standards are reading and math standards. So when we're teaching our students,
Right.
we're not taking education away.
Right.
We're just enhancing it.
Right. So it's amazing that technically speaking, California does not have financial literacy standards
No.
for like teaching, right? To be taught to K through 12.
Right. So we are one of 2 states that do not have a financial literacy standard.
Unbelievable.
As much money as that rolls through California,
Right.
it's unheard of. Why?
Right. Right. So obviously junior achievement really fills a gap and gives us something that we don't have. Talk about, junior achievement I like to call is, I do this show enough where I have what I call name brand organizations, name brand nonprofits, ones that have a lot of branches that people may have been therefore more likely to have heard about or heard of. But tell us some stuff we don't know, things we think we know about junior achievement that we really don't know.
So we are over a 100-year-old organization We are in 6 continents,
Right.
over 100 countries,
Right.
over 40 different programs.
Right.
Junior Achievement started as a club,
Wow.
and it was a club created by businessmen for their kids.
Right.
And over the years, it's just changed and evolved and grown.
Right.
And now we go into schools, we
Right.
work directly with the schools, the districts, the teachers, and we
Right.
teach the financial literacy or entrepreneurship
Right.
or work readiness, whatever pillar
Right.
the school is interested in.
Right. I'm going to ask a question that is probably such a simple question that most people wouldn't ask it, but I'm the host, so I can ask what I want to
Okay.
ask. But give us something that we might not be thinking of from the standpoint of someone that is the director of development for the organization. Why is financial literacy important?
Well, financial literacy can help kids get out of poverty, for one. Yeah. Students, when they leave our program, and sometimes we just do a one-time program, sometimes we're repeating programs. When they leave, they feel more knowledgeable, they feel
Right.
like they can get out. If we were to track a student from kindergarten, when we
Right.
start as young as we have and track it, by the time they reach high school, they would be able to know how to invest money.
What do kids that are going to learn financial literacy, what do they learn first?
So if we start out at kindergarten, you get the big book and they're teaching learning needs versus wants.
Right.
And then we build up on there. And then when they get into, so perhaps 5th grade, they're learning free market economy.
Right.
They're learning resources. They're learning the difference between human resources and our product resources.
Right.
And they're actually even exploring different careers.
Right.
And then sometimes it's just about teaching them just money.
Right. Sure.
In high school, they are learning what a credit card is, how to manage a credit card, how to
Right.
manage their accounts.
Talk about your sources of funding. And the reason why I'm asking you to do that is there's this, I had a teacher who used to talk about the dramatic irony of a story. It's, she's an English teacher. It seems this way, but it's actually this way. So we would think that because a lot of people would think, because junior achievement, we've all heard of it, we know it, our nephew's in the class in another state or whatever else, that money is easy to come by and that it's always there and it's all there, particularly as it pertains to the Inland Empire. I've found that in some of everything, we're kind of forgotten on the resource side. So talk a little bit about that and what's been your experience in that area.
So we're usually one of our primary funding sources is the banks because it's a
Right.
natural fit.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
But we have also national partners like
Right.
Chick-fil-A. They
Okay.
came in and the owners of Southern California, all the franchisee owners all decided to contribute together,
Right.
pool funding to have a 3-year storefront at Finance Park, but also to have a JA Day
Right.
in the Inland Empire
Right.
because they knew that distance may not happen getting the students to Finance Park. We have fundings from just someone just saying, hey, I want to sponsor a child because
Right.
the value of the product, it's $125 per student.
Right.
We usually say about $5,000 per class.
Right. Sure.
And what that does allow is when there's overage, we each can scholarship in another class.
Right. Oh, wow. How big is your staff? Because you're covering a large land area here.
Yeah, so this is the first time in many years that we have 2 staff who are in the Inland Empire, who are part of the fabric of the
Okay.
community.
Right.
And this just happened as of January. And so right now we have 2 staff, we have a program, and we
Right.
have a director of development, but we have the resources that we can pull from Orange County, where we have an executive director, development associate, and other program managers. So if we get too much, we can always pull from those resources.
Right.
They are ready to come up and help at any moment that we
Right.
need it.
So tell us about, you kind of look to and around the corner. What's next in financial literacy? Like where are we going? What should kids, young people, and therefore facilitate our society knowing about them? What are the things that we should know more about for the future to meet with the challenges that we'll see in tomorrow?
I think one of the things that we are learning right now is we don't have a way to help with people filling out their FAFSA.
Right.
But
Oh my
there
God.
is
Yeah.
now a whole requirement by the state of California that every high school graduate needs to have their FAFSA application completed.
Right.
And just us going in initially and meeting with these high schools, we're like, okay, I don't know how to do that, but I sympathize with you.
Right.
And just helping the kids being able to understand the needs versus the wants.
Right.
If you're at home, just working with your kids and learning as they grow.
So tell me about some of the things that you've accomplished recently that you're really proud of.
So we originally had a goal of just impacting 2,000 students in the Inland Empire because our fiscal year ends in June.
Right.
So we had a goal of 2,000. We have hit over 12,000 students.
Oh my gosh.
We were able to get into like 8 additional schools this year
Right. Sure.
in just a short time.
Tell me about your development journey because you're the director of development, and development means developing resources.
Yes.
Okay, junior achievement. Hey, we need money. Director of development. Tell us about that journey and some of the related challenges that you see in doing that.
So some of the related challenges is right now just diversifying, getting in a way a little bit from the banking industry,
Okay.
but seeing the value as far as if you were to invest in junior achievement,
Right.
it's an investment because you're investing in your future workforce,
Right.
your future talent. So it's currently an expense, but it's not an expense because you're going to have the talent afterwards. They're going to remember that company. They're going to remember that job shadow, that tour. They're going to remember you coming in.
Right.
So the challenges is just saying that everyone can be a part of it and that everyone can support it. And actually, everyone has the responsibility to do it.
Right. Right. Now, so you're talking about school growth. That sounds like that's happening. Does it happen because you get the district and with the district comes the schools, or one of the schools gets excited and with that comes the district?
Currently, it's one of the schools.
Right.
We have in like Anaheim with our Orange County office, they have an MOU with the district, and that helps. Oftentimes it starts out with just one teacher, and the teacher just requests that we come into the classroom, and then from there we try to say, okay, who else wants to join? And then we have multiple teachers. Whereas our J8A, we're going to impact 3rd through 5th graders, and then next year we're going to do school-wide kindergarten through 5th.
Right. So how does that connect to globally, like your current priorities? Here are the things that are the most important for junior achievement to do right now.
I think the most important is to just make as many connections as possible, especially since there is a potential for California to have that financial literacy. We're here to help those teachers fill that gap so that they're not doing that extra work. And just being able to have the volunteers to be the faces of the community for the students, because it helps make the connection going, okay, this is something I can do.
Right.
And we've had recently where we've had some examples of people like Banner Bank and Citibank came in and they said, this is why I got into banking. And it was because my mom always waited for the teller that spoke Spanish.
Right, sure.
And so
sure.
she didn't trust me to translate 100%,
Right.
but she could always tell when I was wrong.
Right.
And so they were able to connect directly with the students. And then afterwards, they even said, hey, send me your resume.
Right, sure.
Let me look at your resume. Let me help you tweak it and let me help you grow. So those are invaluable connections in those areas.
And speaking of which, let's see a JA Day in action where we can check out volunteers and a student.
Hi, my name is Sergio Caro. I'm the Southern California Market Manager for the U.S. Community Relations Team at Citi. Today, we're at Ridgeview Elementary with Junior Achievement Southern California. Volunteers are inside the classrooms working with grades 2nd through 5th grade, and we are embracing and promoting positive financial habits through the JA curriculum. We have hands-on activities with students, guiding them from understanding how money circulates within the city, providing them direction on starting their own business, and setting positive financial habits for their futures. Junior Achievement is great because it helps promote positive financial habits to young students so they can develop to future bright stars. I think having positive financial habits, being aware of how money is circulated. It's extremely important just for that same reason, to be ahead of the curve and not learn when you are facing perhaps a negative monthly budget, or you're facing overextending credit card debt, and really being comfortable with the notion of following a monthly savings and spending plan, on always having smart financial goals, will only better yourself in the future for economic and financial mobility. I think the kids really enjoy the change in pace from their weekly activities within school, having visitors come in, and doing these wonderful interactive financial activities with volunteers. I think children receive that in a very positive manner, and they can take what they learned today and build upon that in the future.
Hi, I'm Parker. I'm from Ridgeview Elementary, and I'm in grade 5. Our Junior Achievement Program is about entrepreneurship and what to do, so they prepare us for what's gonna happen in the future. We have the skills to create a business, or maybe treat your customers the right way. It's preparing us for what's gonna happen in the future, and how to communicate with other customers and treat them well, not terrible. So in the future, we're gonna learn about saving our money and also banking our money. For starting your own business, you need to have skill, innovation. You need to know what you're creating, your products, or your maybe business offers. I really like it. This is really cool. And I hope this can continue, and I hope we can do this in the future.
Tell me about, as a child, when my daughter was growing up, I tried to do things that encourage financial literacy. We played cash flow for kids and things like that. So let me flip it around, and at the risk of asking something that might not even be a junior achievement question, what does a parent do that maybe figures out, maybe because their kids in junior achievement, maybe there's some boxes that I should check? I come from a modest background, relatively simple, et cetera. I've always dealt in cash. I haven't dealt in credit at all. What's available for folks like that? Are there companion organizations or things like that?
I believe there are, but
Right.
that is definitely one of the things they keep asking us when we go in. They go, do you do anything for adults?
Really?
So one thing we've encouraged is, why doesn't the parent become the volunteer in the classroom
Sure.
for that? And they learn alongside their students.
Right.
But we have with our kids, the students get to take some of the resources home.
Yeah.
And that does start the conversations at home. And just starting to work, like I said, with your kids, going, what's a need versus a want?
Right.
Okay, can we put this money away for an experience
Right.
versus do we need to put it in for something we have to have right now?
Right. So I want to hear more about, you mentioned one of the programs where the kids are looking at credit in terms of getting a car and down payment, and here's what your interest rate would be based on your credit score and things like that. Tell me more about those types of things, some of the projects and some of the things that the kids actually get a chance to start to deal with. It really gives them some hands-on in terms of dealing with money and credit issues.
So that one is our JA about cars, and it's
Okay.
taught at the high school level.
Right.
And so the students are going through it, and the volunteer is able to bring in their personal experience on what they did on buying their car. We teach them cash versus credit versus financing and leasing. And then just to challenge them, it was sponsored by Honda Finance through a national grant. And they go in and they look at the Honda Finance website. And like I said, they are able to toggle the switches. And I was learning alongside them,
Sure.
even though I was the co-teacher. And I was like, oh, look, what happens when we change your credit score just a few points? How much does that down payment change? How much does that monthly payment change?
Right.
When we do the kids in the classroom, the kids actually have manipulatives that they get the whole. There's some of them that are actually money that they're playing with. Well, it's Monopoly, but they're getting to play with it. They're getting to look at it. As a teacher, I don't always have those resources
Right.
in the classroom to be able to say, okay, this is what the difference between a dime and a nickel is.
Right. What are some of the misconceptions that you find, common misperceptions surrounding money? I mean, it might be with the parents, it might be like something that the kids thought they know at a basic level, but maybe they don't. What are some of the things that we seem to steer around, maybe because we don't face it, because we aren't realistic? What are some of the things we're missing?
I think it's ultimately credit card debt
Right.
and the students not understanding that when you have a credit card, it is there for a purpose and it's not just to spend haywardly.
Not
So
money.
we were teaching them, some of the high schoolers that when you have your credit card, if you want to use it for your gas money and then pay that off.
Right.
And that's part of your monthly budget. So we were just teaching them responsibility on when they have a credit card. And it's always there if you do need those resources. And then the other part is they were teaching them if you put away money starting,
Right.
the more it'll grow if you put it in the bank versus if you put it under your mattress.
Right. Give us a resource wish list. Some things that you could see. We would love to do more of this. This is the next thing. This is the next frontier that we really want to meet. If we had more in the way of resources, we would do. What's that?
So I'm going to go low to high.
Right, okay,
So
gotcha.
my low
Yes,
wish
good,
list
good.
is just volunteers,
Gotcha.
faces,
Right.
people that say I'm willing to go in and teach.
Right.
The other wish list is to sponsor a class,
Yeah,
sponsor a school. My third is long-term wish list. I would love to have a finance park and the company pop up in the Inland Empire. So finance park, the biz center, it is usually a brick and mortar,
Right.
but there's ways to do it mobile. And so that's a big campaign. And I want to have our students to have that experience, to be able to go in with their credits, with a given credit score, and to negotiate and to be an adult for a day.
So tell us about the volunteer opportunities that exist.
So we are 100% volunteer driven.
Right.
So we have the volunteers go in and become the teacher for the day.
Right.
And it's not as intimidating as they think because we train you and you have a script, you have a curriculum. So we need the volunteers to go into the classroom. We need the volunteers to be career speakers that talk about their path because no one is usually like this.
Right, sure.
There's the ups and downs of, well, I went here and I went here. I mean, look at me.
Right.
And then you also need entrepreneurs. There's an entrepreneurship program, and the entrepreneurs come and talk and teach the students about entrepreneurship. And right now, every student wants to be an entrepreneur for YouTube or an influencer. And okay, if that's their wish, but let's get them started in the right direction
Right, sure.
so they know how to be smart business people.
So tell me about you. You know, fortunately, we get to talk a little bit off camera or whatever else. And you've got an interesting journey going in education, being a teacher, doing other things in the nonprofit space, and being passionate enough about coming out here. And you're a busy person and all these other things with family and everything else. How do you get through a difficult moment? Because we all have difficult moments, right? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So, but you're this accomplished person that's got to find a way to balance, right? And you're doing some things that are incredibly important. But when you get in the tough moments, how do you get through them?
I have to usually just take a moment to get it out of my head.
Right.
And because I'm my worst enemy. So
Maybe a lot of us are,
Yeah.
right? You know? Yeah.
So it might be just taking a walk. It might be just taking a breather. If
Yeah.
I know I'm in the moment where I might lose my cool, it's walking away from it.
Right.
I can handle it under pressure.
Right.
But then when that call hangs up, it's like, okay, I got to go. So just taking a walk and getting away from the situation and then coming back
Right.
and thinking it from a different angle.
Right. And you said that you guys are starting to are you starting to get more into political advocacy, you know, a little bit just in terms of programs? And is that necessarily kind of because California is not the one that was one of the last people to make it official?
Yeah, so we recently have pulled some of our resources and we are going and advocating for the financial literacy standard and also saying we're here to help those teachers. So we're asking California to push it through, to vote on it and say, yes, please have a standard in California for financial literacy.
Look in the crystal ball for us, and as a nonprofit professional that has a good sense of the 30,000 foot view, and I'm sure as a development person, you got to think of it that way. Look 10, 15 years down the road and tell us that if you had your druthers, what is your organization doing? What's happening in financial literacy? And how is Junior Achievement helping facilitate it?
So what I do like is we have a great education team that stays on top of it, and they're constantly revising the implementation standards, they're constantly revising the curriculum, and they're constantly trying to stay ahead of the game, but they're also working with industry leaders to be able to do this.
Right.
So the industry leaders put their input in, put their feedback in, and one of the things we've just recently had to pivot is post-COVID, we had to expand it. It stopped at high school, and now we've expanded to 25-year-olds. So
Oh, wow,
we're starting to go
great.
into colleges to
Right.
teach financial
Oh my
literacy
God, it's just as necessary.
as well. Yeah, I've seen it. I saw the maturity change. I saw
Right.
everything change as a teacher
Right.
and go, yep, this is what we need to do.
So now we know Junior Achievement a little bit better. Give us some homework. How do people follow up and get more information and get involved?
So they can give us a call. They can email me. They can look us up online. And we're pretty easy to find.
Thanks so much for being on with us.
Thank you for having me.
And we want to thank you guys for watching us. We want you to keep watching us. Let folks know not only can they get all of these episodes at YouTube, but also they can get additional footage, things that you didn't see if you just watched the episode. And keep joining us as we go down the road, seeing all these wonderful organizations doing great work, and we'll do it one conversation at a time. Until then, Joe Richardson for Inland Edition. Take care.